Hey, boys and girls, it's Mrs. Hendricks, and I am here to read a couple of chapters from How to Eat Fried Worms by Thomas Rockwell. Chapter 21, The 10th Worm. "What's for dinner?" said Billy's father, coming into the kitchen. "Well," said Billy's mother, "you and I and Emily are having hamburgers and string beans and mashed potatoes. Billy is having a fried worm." "More worms? The bet's still on?" "Look," she took a small plate covered with saran wrap out of the refrigerator. "And you've eaten 9 of these already, Billy?" He poked the worm curiously. "And what do? Use a lot of ketchup and mustard?" Billy nodded. "And horseradish and other things. And we fry them." Billy's father lifted a corner of the saran wrap and smelled the worm. "Helen, you ought to be able to do better than fried. Use your cookbooks." "I'm not the cook. I'm the referee." "Oh, come on. Think of the challenge." He took a cookbook from the shelf under the spice rack. "Let's see. Mastering the Art of French Cooking." He leafed through the cookbook. "Here, how about poached eels on toast?" "No," said Billy's mother. "It calls for chopping up the eel in little pieces, and that would be against the rules." "How about spaghetti with worm balls then? Or savory worm pie? Creamed worms on toast? Spanish worm loaf with mushroom sauce?" "Wait," said Billy's mother, putting down her cooking spoon. "It might just..." "Here," she read, "Alsatian smothered worm. Dredge the worm with seasoned flour. Saute in 3 tablespoon drippings until browned. Cover the sliced onions. Pour over 1 thick cup of sour cream. Cover pot closely and bake in a slow oven until tender." "Bravo," said Billy's father. "Put the hamburgers back in the refrigerator. We'll all have worm tonight." "I won't," said Emily. "Ha," said Billy, grinning in the midst of chewing. "Boy, Alan and Joe thought they were doing me in when they came to you, Mom. But this is better than steak. It tastes really good." "Ugh," muttered Emily, making a face. "Let me have a taste," said Billy's father. "No, no," said Mother. "Billy has to eat every bit himself." Alan and Joe were very firm about that. "And I'm the referee." "Boy," said Billy, "I don't mind if it tastes like this." Chapter 22, The 11th Worm. "How do you do it?" said Billy. What's it called?" "My word," said his father. "Gosh, Miss Forrester," gasped Tom. On a silver dish in front of Billy lay an ice cream cake bathed in fruit syrups, peach, cherry, tutti frutti, canned orange, topped with whipped cream, sprinkled with jelly beans and almond slivers. "It's called Whiz Bang Worm Delight," said Billy's mother proudly. "I made it up." "Is the worm really in there?" said Billy, poking about with a spoon. And then, scraping away a bit of whipped cream at the end, he glimpsed the worm's snout protruding from the center of the cake. "Snug as a bug in a rug," said his mother. "I still wouldn't eat a worm," said Emily, eyeing the whiz-bang worm delight with envious distaste. "I would," said Tom. "At least, maybe I would." This is the little whiz-bang worm delight. All right, chapter 23. "It won't work." "Look," said Joe. "Even if he remembers the worm, we're at Shea. He can't get one." Where's anyone going to find a worm at Shea Stadium?" "Don't worry," we'll say. "We've won. We'll find a worm after we get home. And we keep right on stuffing him. Peanuts, hot dogs, hamburgers, Cracker Jack, ice cream, orange soda, gum, Mars bars. You know how he loves to eat. You never see him refuse anything to eat. By the time you start home, he'll be bloated, drowsy, belching. Remember the last time when his father took us? He was asleep by the time we hit Peekskill. Your father will carry him in from the car. His mother and father will put him to bed. Next morning, he'll wake up. Too late! We've won! 15 worms in 15 days. He missed a day. Alan gnawed at his thumbnail. What about Tom? We'll ask him along and then just not pick him up. We can take your father and we can tell your father and Billy that Tom's mother called. He's sick. His grandmother died. Anything. Just to buy all that. Oh. Alan sighed. Geez, it'll probably cost me $8 to buy all that food. Cracker Jacks? Hamburgers? Yeah, but it'll cost you $50 if he wins. Yeah, well, oh geez. How'd I ever get into this? If my father finds out. Alan slumped on the porch steps, gazing down at his sneakers and gnawing his thumbnail. Come on, said Joe, slapping him on the shoulder. Cheer up. We haven't lost yet. Go ask your father. Chapter 24, the 12th worm. You think Alan really meant when he said he'd given up? Asked Billy, turning down the flame around the frying pan. He was cooking a toasted cheese and worm sandwich. Ugh. I don't know, said Tom, looking in the refrigerator. I suppose so. He asked me to go to the Mets game. Say, is that chocolate pudding? Yeah, but you can't take any. It's for supper. I could just scrape off some of the top, and then you could tell your mother that it fell upside down on the floor by mistake when you were getting the cheese out. So you just scrape the dirty part off into the garbage. Well, said Billy doubtfully. Thomas Grout, said Billy's mother, coming in from the hall. I am surprised at you. Miss Forrester, I really wouldn't have done it. I just, talking. Everybody talks, like my father, Billy's father, Billy, my sister Annie, Charlotte, Polly. He was coming back towards the door. Agnes, Columbus? I didn't know you had a sister named Columbus, Tom, said Billy's mother. Would you like some chocolate ice cream instead? Oh, sure, Mrs. Forrester, said Tom, relieved. He sat down at the table. It's my cousin who's named Columbus. He grinned. Columbus, Ohio. He's a capital fellow, Miss Forrester. And then he had to grab the edge of the table to keep from rolling off of his chair, laughing at his own joke. Billy looked disgusted. His mother opened the refrigerator, shaking her head. All right, guys. That's the end of chapter 24. Thanks for letting me read to you. Bye.